What's up, YouTube? It's Brett Dallas. And the era is now upon us when you must use or accompany AI to thrive at all. So I'm making this video as kind of an observation, commentary on what I'm noticing in the world, in my interactions with people, in the workplace with regards to AI. I haven't yet made like a value judgment on this. I don't know if it's good, bad, or otherwise. I do know that the landscape that we are all now a part of is fundamentally changing. It has for a while, but I think what's different now is that up until now, you've kind of had the choice to opt out of either using AI or being complicit in its use in some way. You've been able to kind of get around it a little bit. But now it's clear to me that that choice is gone. And so I have three examples that I want to cite here. The first one is just yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she is in the job market. And she mentioned to me that she had a job interview scheduled, not with a person at a company that she might work for, but with an AI bot who was going to send her through the first round or so of interviews. And I wasn't sure how to feel about that. I still don't know how I feel about that. How do you prepare for an interview, a job interview with an AI bot? I'm not sure. I haven't really thought through it, but I do know that this is now something that we can probably start to expect in the job hunting and interviewing process. Also, the advent of AI agents in in communications, right? So if you call a company, it is now becoming more and more likely that you're not going to interact with a telephone queue system or a dial directory where you can input a number and connect with the person you're trying to reach. But instead, you're greeted with a friendly hello by an actual AI agent who will announce themselves as an AI, and they will ask how they can help you. And I've encountered this on more than one occasion, considering that I work in sales now. Haven't always, but I do now. And when I try to call companies to reach a certain person, I would probably say that at least one out of 10 or maybe 2 out of 10 of these calls result in interaction with an AI. And this is like a vocal conversation with an AI, not like press 1 for this or press 2 for that. It's an actual conversation with an AI. You can't get around it. It is now a necessary feature of doing business. And the third example I want to mention is that in the job that I have, there are ways of doing my job to include like analysis and analytics and data logging that are now inextricably linked with AI tools that the company is now basically endeared to and contracted with. So what I mean by that is these AI companies, the most prevalent of which is this company called Gong.io. That's G-O-N-G. It bills itself as an AI-powered revenue platform. And Gong, in addition to quite a few other AI platforms, is making it so that your job is now necessarily infused with AI to the point where you can't do anything really of substance without having an AI involved in what you're doing. So I'll give you an example of this. Just to have a phone call with a client, let's say, or a prospect, I have to use an IP dialer. That IP dialer has hooks into this Gong platform. And this Gong platform, using AI, tracks everything about this phone call. Every word that is said is converted into a script that is logged and analyzed. The spaces between the comments that are made by either myself or the respondent or the recipient of the call are tracked and analyzed. And at the end of this call, and this is what blew me away, at the end of this call, I'm given a metric of how patient I was on the call, how long I waited before the client spoke or after the client spoke for me to speak, and the length of the call, how much time I spent speaking in ratio to how much time the client spent speaking. And at the end of this is all laid out in this graph that shows me down to the second how I quote unquote performed on this call. And not a single human being is involved in this at all. So that's the third example of how this is now become, AI has now become absolutely inextricably linked with virtually every daily task or action we might take that involves data. This is a new world. I wouldn't call it a brave new world. There's not really much brave about it. But what it is doing, I'm finding, is that it is shortening people's attention span, for one. That's a fact. People are now becoming more and more used to getting the refined and distilled information they're looking for at the click of a button. And it's not too dissimilar to the advent of the internet, frankly, when our news was served up via a website or a news forum, and we didn't have to rely on the newspaper so much, or even the radio or older methods of data dissemination. And also, what I'm noticing too is that this is forcing the separation of the hyper efficient wheat from the chaff. And so what I mean by that is, if you are not a hyper efficient individual, if you do not process things very quickly, or if you don't learn quickly how to adapt to the streamlining of certain processes using AI, you will be left behind and you will probably be laughed at in the process. If you are a Luddite or someone who is married to analog systems, maybe that's worked for you really well. Maybe you've mastered the art of navigating, telephony menus, and you're just not a fan of this AI thing. You're going to get left behind, and you're going to become laughingstock for it. I am past middle age at this point, and I remember the days of using 3x5 note cards and things to keep track of certain details in the business world, and the advent of CRMs came along and changed all of that. But my point is that I don't have much more than about 15 or 20 years left in my career where I'm going to have to continue to adapt to this stuff. What I am really most concerned about is the younger generation who's coming into a workforce that is changing so quickly and is becoming so beholden to these AI systems that the job that they start, whether it's out of high school or out of college, will almost necessarily not be the same job they have a year from when they started. So what I envision happening in the not so distant future is there will be this cleave between the people who are talented at efficiency and becoming efficient with streamlined AI tools, and the ones who are not, and the ones who maybe don't have the same proficiencies. And I think this is going to create a separation in the haves and the have-nots. There's going to be a new class of intelligentsia, let's just say, that is going to be even further refined to the point where maybe only about 5% or 10% of the people in the working world eventually are going to have the highly skilled jobs, because any medium skilled job is going to become fodder for an AI system to solve, right? So, like I said, I don't know if I'm ready to call this good, bad, or otherwise. I'm just observing this as it's happening. you know, the AI recruiter or the AI agent who's answering calls, or the AI analytics and data platforms that are now being adopted by businesses en masse. You know, this is all happening so fast it's making my head spin. But I'm just grateful that I only have maybe 15 years left to have to adapt to all of this, you know, as someone who's, you know, entering the later years of my life. So I'm curious to hear, though, from you, from your perspective, particularly if you're a younger worker or someone who's maybe preparing to get into the workforce, if you're seeing this as well. If I'm not a lone case, or if I'm just, you know, off my rocker about this, and the impact that all of this is having on us, not all for the best, by the way. Share your comments below. Let me know what you think. It's been a while since I've made a video, but I did feel like I had something to say on this topic, and I'd be curious to hear if you feel the same way. I hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon. Peace, love, and light. Bye.